Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today's upload is full of just absolutely terrifying information that really shows how diabolical the government is. And when I say that, I don't mean, the basic people that we see on TV. I don't mean AOC, even though she is evil, but I mean the people that are truly running the world. And they have their hands in some really deep waters. I got a lot of information to share with you guys. Before we get into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? Okay, today's upload is dedicated to a subscriber that just passed away. Many of you know this person as Dude from Texas. He's been with the channel for quite some time. He was Dave from Texas, then Dude from Texas. And he was in our live stream this past week. And he died suddenly. So sometime after the live stream and like 2-3 in the afternoon, Sunday afternoon, somewhere between that time period, he passed. He was at all our live streams, and he really was a great person, communicated with everybody. He will be missed. And I know that he loved to hear encounters, but he liked the research. He liked the information just as much as we all do. And that's why I'm dedicating this one to him. Let's also take a moment on your time and send a prayer to his family. Dave from Texas, you will be missed. Okay, so today's upload is going to be a lot of information and a lot of experiences centered around the Nephilim / giants, super soldiers, dogmen, and the government. When I say government, I don't mean the mainstream government that we all see on the news daily. I mean the Bilderbergs, the 1%, NWO, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. They are the ones that are in charge, and the governments that are in the public's eyes are just puppets. And we're going to go pretty deep on this. And it's pretty amazing information that I compiled, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. And I do have some proof that the government is connected in all of this. I do believe that Andrew Dawson was silenced for what he brought to the public's eye. That radio tower in that mountain in Canada with a giant. A lot of strange things went on. I've done a couple different videos where I had proven that he is dead. He is passed. Obituary's been found. Yes, you can create a fake obituary on a fake web page. There's channels out there that are pretty large, and they tried to debunk his death. He's never been seen again. His wife is still on TikTok, still making videos. I miss you, Andrew. I found the funeral parlor that did the memorial service for him. You can't recreate something like that. I think a lot of those large channels that talk about things that they really don't know much about are plants. You know, they get paid by that 1%. Because, hey, you know, who are you going to believe more? A channel with 6,000, 7,000 subs, 10,000, less than 100,000, 200,000, or a channel with 4 million, 1 million? Obviously, people are going to be like, well, it's got so much subscribers, they got to be telling the truth. Because, well, the majority of the populace are sheep, and they will believe what you put in front of them. There's a lot of connections, and I'm going to share a lot of just crazy stuff with you guys. So let's get into it. The first bit of information, jumping right into it, we're jumping deep with a excerpt from Tom Horn, a freaking hero of mine. This is an excerpt from the official Disclosure magazine back in 2006. And this is from Tom Horn. The story in 1 Samuel 28 makes reference to the beings that ascended up from out of the earth as gods. 1 Sam 28:13. When Saul asked the woman with a familiar spirit, 1 Sam 28:7, what had scared her so much, she answered, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. 1 Sam 28:13. The Endorian witch may have identified one of these gods as the deceased Samuel, but many Christians are uncomfortable with that idea of communicating with the dead and insist the reference had to have been something else. Exactly what else this being might have been is the question. The Amelintra working. In 1918, famed occultist Aleister Crowley attempted to create a dimensional vortex that would bridge the gap between the world of the seen and unseen. The ritual was called the Amelintra working, and according to Crowley, became successful when a presence manifested itself through that rift. He called the being Lamb in Druid picture, Lam, Lem. And it does look like this alien. Its head almost looks like a tick with this very small body. Startling image detailed almost 90 years ago bears a powerful similarity to the alien greys of later pop culture. Nearly 3 decades after the Amelintra working, rocket scientist and co-founder of Jet Propulsion Laboratory Jack Parsons and his buddy, L. Ron Hubbard, Church of Scientology founder, conducted a second ritual, the Babylon working, in an attempt to reopen that gateway created by Crowley. The two men were not seeking audience with Lamb. They wanted the spirit of Babylon, the divine feminine, to pass through the portal and to incarnate itself within a human being. Many adepts of the Enochian magic in Ordo Templi Orientis believe they succeeded and that she, the whore of Babylon, walks the earth today. It would come to no surprise, as Babylonian and early gods have been depicted as coming through gates for some time. This universal timeless phenomenon is recorded in the mythos of every ancient culture. Just like in this book, Them and Us, How Neanderthal Predation Created Modern Humans, Danny Van Drimeny asks the question, why is it that multiple cultures of multiple different ages throughout the time of humanity does exist a legend of Dogman, Bigfoot, ogre, dragons, and they all are similar, reptilian, and they all are similar. Like Chinese legends 5,000 years ago depict a Yeti creature. We have Bigfoot. Greeks have creatures similar to Dogmen. So that last statement is so similar to what Van Drimeny said about a different subject, but something still connected. The universal timeless phenomenon is recorded in the mythos of every ancient culture. So aren't these monsters? A popular hypothesis, sometimes called the ancient astronaut theory, claims that superintelligent beings have been visiting the Earth through dimensional gates for eons. According to the theory, these are the gods of mythology and are responsible for creating the human race. In an introduction to his best-selling book, Chariots of the God, Eric van Däniken, who, it might be argued, is the father of the ancient astronaut theory, said, I claim that our forefathers received visits from the universe in a remote past, even though I do not yet know who these extraterrestrial intelligence were or from which planet they came. I nevertheless proclaim that these strangers annihilated part of mankind's existing at the time and reproduced a new, perhaps the first, Homo sapiens. In that same book, in Van Drimeny's book, he talks about a bottleneck of humanity. As was illustrated in Hollywood films, Contact, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Van Däniken's premise took America by storm in the 60s with the proposition that mankind was possibly the offspring of an ancient, perhaps ongoing, extraterrestrial experiment. UFOologists like Däniken assert that the gods of mythology record may have been evidence of and a reaction to encounters with otherworldly beings. So pretty much saying like these creatures by the ancient forefathers, our forefathers thousands of years ago, communicated with these extraterrestrial intelligence from portals or wherever. I do believe portals. I have a hard time. I do believe that there are UFOs, but I have a hard time thinking that they all come from outer space. I think a lot of these creatures and aliens that we see come out of portals. And that's what it says right here. But it would make sense. You're, 2,000 years ago, you're wearing a tunic and, drinking wine, hanging out with your pals, watching a chariot race, and all of a sudden this portal opens up in front of you, and this strange little bipedal creature pops out and has technology beyond anything you'd ever seen, that'd almost appear to be a god, wouldn't it? To them. According to such theorists, ancient men would have considered space travelers as gods and would have recorded via hieroglyphs, megaliths, and stone tablets these space travelers' arrival, experiments, and departure as a supernatural encounter between gods and man. Mr. Daniken continues, while the spaceship disappears again into the mist of the universe, our friends will talk about a miracle. The gods were here. They will make a record of what happened, uncanny, weird, miraculous. Then their texts will relate, and drawings will show that gods in golden clothes were there in a flying boat that landed with a tremendous din. They will write about the chariots in which these gods drove over land and sea, and of terrifying weapons that were like lightning. And they will recount that the gods promised to return. They will hammer and chisel in rock pictures of what they had seen. Shapeless giants with helmets and rods on their heads, carrying boxes in front of their chests, balls on which these beings sit and ride through the air, staves from which rays are shot out of. Von Daniken also says an odd appearance of some of these gods as depicted various hieroglyphs, human-like creatures with falcon heads, lion heads, dog or bull, could be viewed as evidence of alien transgenetically or genetically modifying ancient people and animals. Some expect this is an alternative to a biblical account of creation. Dulce, Nightmare Hall. I am fascinated with many statements that came out of there by Tom Costello, Bill Cooper, Phil Snyder, but a octopus-like creature, women that are huge and just like a milking machine, but a large bipedal creature with claws on its hands, hairy, that mimic babies crying in the woods. To me, it is uncertain how many believe such a theory, but approximately 80% of Americans alone believe in the possibility of extraterrestrial life, like the 39 members of the Heaven's Gate cult who committed the S-word in Rancho Santa Fe, California, and who believed they were being summoned by UFO trailing the Hale-Bopp comet. While much attention is given to Sumerian cuneiforms as evidence of this alien-human interaction, ancient Chinese folklore of visitation of beings from a distant land in flying carts, the Dorna Parva in Sanskrit texts document dogfights by gods in flying machines. And Daniken claims the Bible itself is the Pharaoh destroy the Hebrew children so that the deliverer might not be born, as did Herod seek baby Jesus in order to have him killed, as does the dragon of Revelation 12 wait to destroy the seed of women as soon as it is born. So too Satan wanted to stop the promised seed before it be sent by God. Yet my friend I.D.E. Thomas, in his book Omega Conspiracy, says Satan had additional plans of killing the Messiah. According to Thomas, Satan, as opposed to aliens, was trying to produce a race of mutant warriors to exterminate a race worse, to genetically alter creation from the image of God. to one of Satan's own. So, just from Thomas's point of view, this explains why people like the Sumerians of Mesopotamia, whose legends precede much Hebrew folklore, brought with them a pantheon of deities, with subsequent religion adapting similar ideas of powerful beings with names like Zeus and Apollo, visiting the earth, marrying women, and fathering half human children. So it's kind of weird if you really think about it. We talk about these fallen angels that bred with human women and bore the Nephilim or the giant. But yet, in folklore, in mythology that we learn in 7th grade English class, what is it? Hercules is the son of Zeus, but son of a god, son of a woman, human woman. Not much difference if you think about it. Those who have come through the gates, were also called watchers. The ancient astronaut theory and the teaching of theologians alike to the prehistoric legend of watchers, mysterious beings who first appeared in early cultures in the Middle East, to discuss the Anunnaki, Sumerian gods, Nephilim, giants, referenced in Genesis 6:4, and the creation of mutant DNA following Earth's visitation by the gods. Once again, when it's said as gods, aliens. The Egyptians originally migrated from the biblical land of Shinar, which means land of the watchers. The Egyptians called it Ta-Nader, the land of the watchers, from which the gods came into Egypt. In the Book of the Dead, plates 7 through 10, there are prayers for deliverance from the watchers. The princes of Osiris, who came from Ta'ur, the faraway land. Sumerian scribes referred to the watchers as Anunnaki, which they said came from Nibiru, to judge, rule inhabitants of the earth. Some interpret this Nibiru as a distant planet, while others say it should be translated those who from heaven to earth came. The Bible refers to Nephilim, which also means those who came from heaven to earth. It means a bunch of different things. So just, there would probably be 16 different people. It means this, this, and that. Well, it does, but it also means what Tom Horn's saying. And Tom Horn was an expert at this. He dedicated his life to researching this. In the Book of Jubilees, aka the Apocalypse of Moses, the Watchers are compared to supernatural beings mentioned in the 6th chapter of Genesis. The apocryphal book of Enoch associates these creatures of Genesis 6 with the Watchers. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty and the King of the ages. And lo, the Watchers call me Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go declare to the Watchers of the heaven, who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. Ye have wrought great destruction on the earth, and ye shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin. And inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of the beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make unto eternity, but mercy and peace shall ye not attain. According to the Dead Sea Scrolls, only 200 of these large group of powerful beings called Watchers departed the higher heavens and sinned. Thus Enoch refers to the Watchers in the high heavens as separate from the ones on earth. The fallen class of Watchers are considered by some to be the same creatures who in the book of Jude are called angels, which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, and are reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto judgment of the great day. After studying this and other ancient records, I.D.E. Thomas concludes that recent UFO abduction activity may indicate a return of the servants of the Watcher, the lesser angels, that followed in 200 as we approach the end of the age and the coming of Armageddon. Do the biblical and extra-biblical records support the ancient astronaut theory that ancient creatures traveled from distant planets or different dimensions and genetically tinkered with Homo sapiens? Were these flying geniuses afterward honored in the images and folklore of the gods of mythology? Or is Thomas correct in that Genesis and similar books are a record of fallen angels acting in accord with Satan? We may find out sooner than we think. Unexplained phenomena are occurring all around us. Reports of beings traversing portals are coming in with regular frequency. Whoever or whatever these beings are, the reality of their activity can no longer be doubted. Genetic experiments. Although it is said, now this is not by Tom Horn, this is another excerpt from an actual Italian study guide. I can't even pronounce it because it's I can't translate it. It will not translate the study guide. But it's friggin' interesting. Genetic experiments. Although it is said that the beauty of Earth's women tempted the fallen angels, it is worth considering whether the fallen angels did not have a special purpose for creating offspring of giant stature and immense strength. We do know that one of Yahweh's greatest concerns was genetic purity and perfection. The intermarriage between human and divine beings, which continued throughout the Induvian period, was naturally a threat to Yahweh's well-ordered creation. The ancient master race of men created by the Watchers was against Jehovah's plan for the earth, in which each human being and animal was to reproduce after its own kind. The subject is discussed in genetic engineering in ancient times. A provocative yet realistic theory for those who are open-minded is that the giants were in fact a result of genetic experiments, just as the Homo sapiens. The giants were genetically manufactured by combining the DNA of various pre-existing animal species. Higher individuals from outer space guided this creation. I actually read in a different upload a while ago where supposedly these aliens during this biblical period were supposedly involved, and the fallen angels too were genetically creating mutant offspring. Not only were they breeding with the women of the earth, but they were breeding with the animals of the earth, creating dogmen, creating creatures like Sasquatch, creating scimitars, Once again, theory. This is just information I'm sharing with you. The Bible is filled with evidence of extraterrestrial contact, clearly proving that Yahweh and his angels were in fact highly advanced beings from outer space. They visited our planet on several occasions. These ancient astronauts were responsible for bringing life to Earth and for the creation of modern man. The giants possessed superhuman powers. Their role was to rule over planet Earth and the Homo sapiens. It is, or was, an attempt by the fallen angels, the group of spacemen who rebelled against their leader, Yahweh, to wipe out the Homo sapiens. The giants were superior to Homo sapiens in every aspect. They were not only of great size and strength, but they also possessed the ability to develop advanced tools and weapons and had astronomical knowledge. In the book of Enoch, we learn. And Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, and made known to them the metals of earth, the art of working them, bracelets, ornaments, and the use of autonomy, and the beautifying eyelids of all kinds of costly stones, coloring trinkets, and there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in their ways. Simzaza taught enchantments, root cuttings. Hermes, the resolving of enchantments. Barajal taught astronomy. Kokabal, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of clouds. Aquarel, the signs of earth. Shemasel, the signs of the sun. Sarel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. The giants' knowledge of technical skills were given to them by their creators, the Watchers. The Nephilim procreated not only among themselves, but created also offspring with Homo sapiens. The offspring of the Nephilim were giants, known as the Gibborim, heroes of old, men of the renown, which are mentioned in Genesis 6. The Gibborim were not as tall and powerful as the Nephilim, but they were nevertheless a dangerous warrior race. At the end of the period, Yahweh saw the pure Adamic line of Homo sapien was almost extinct. The supergiant beings walked the earth, had an almost limitless lifespan. Their extraordinary powers became stronger day by day. They became not only a threat to the earth, but to Yahweh himself. Yahweh realized the rebels, the fallen angels, were winning the genetic warfare. His own creation, Homo sapiens, were being wiped out. And then the deluge, the great flood. So, once again, this is theory. This is not my theory. This is theory that I'm sharing with you. This is actually someone else's theory, but this is pretty interesting. In Voice from Legendary Times, I explain how many ancient sources, such as the Bible, numerous other religious and historical texts mention a time in distant past where giants walked the earth. Who were these mysterious beings of great stature and incredible strength? Giants have often been considered legendary figures created by ancients' imaginations, representing a symbol of human power. Many scholars claim giants never existed. If that is correct, how do we explain the giant skeletons, which have been unearthed worldwide? No, there is much more to this story. Giants were by no means fictional. They did exist and played a vital role in the history of mankind. This next bit of information is titled The Anunnaki and the Nephilim. The recovered records place the location of the Anunnaki laboratory, where the first humans were said to have been literally produced in Central Africa. Indeed, mitochondria, DNA, places the first Homo sapiens in the same time frame and location in East Central Africa, just above their gold mines. In a lecture at New York University in 1993, Sitchin further outlined his theory about human origins and our link with the Anunnaki by saying ancient history and legend around the world, as well as the Bible, attest to the fact that there once were giants on the earth, men of awesome dimensions, bulk, and height. Genesis 6:1-4, we read, "And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of man, that they were fair, and they took them as wives of all which they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, that they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown." The Book of Enoch, an ancient text discovered in Ethiopia in 1773, and because of references to it in ancient Hebrew writings, considered to be among the oldest manuscripts of existence, speaks about 200 angels who came down to earth to mate with the daughters of man, led by a high angel named Azazel. The angels produced giant men, this strange occupation. Enoch writes that humans were taught to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, mirrors, jewelry, paints, dyes, cosmetics, and the use of valuable stones. The people also learned sorcery, use of roots, plants for medicine, astronomy, astrology, and other signs, and the importance of the motion of the celestial bodies. So, once again, that is all theory of someone else, multiple people, actually. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I also believe that there were visitations from extra dimensional creatures. And I do believe that there were genetic creations happening and still are happening. And what if our one God watched these extra dimensional creatures come out of this portal, these demons, and genetically mess with his creation, humans, us, his greatest achievement, it's said in the Bible, mess with us and splice and create things. Of course, he's not going to like it, and create a flood. With that stuff still happening now, when our government created this pact with the extraterrestrials and said, hey, give us technology. Give us technology. We are so important. We need your technology. But we'll let you experiment more on the people that don't matter. Just leave us alone. Leave the 1% alone and take the 99%. Who cares about them? Just give us the technology. We are so important. And that maybe that's why we are right now at the end of time. Because he's up there like, why are these things still doing this? I'm going to wipe them out again. Hopefully next time. Just a theory. But once again, I am not, I do believe wholeheartedly that Jesus walked the earth and died for our sins. But I also believe that there's a lot of bad things going on too. And I can't explain it. But portals. We just were talking about these creatures coming out of portals, creating Nephilim using portals, blah, blah, blah. Well, who else was using portals? The U.S. government was using portals. All the way back, when they decided to start the Montauk projects. When Duncan Cameron was, part of the Montauk project. And a lot of that Montauk project was based on Aleister Crowley's work, which is unbelievably twisted. But one thing that has always got me, this is a conversation with Andy Pirro. EL is the question asker, and Andy Pirro is AP. EL, tell me more about your involvement in the Montauk project. I was involved in an offshoot of the Montauk project called the Montauk Chair. Basically, the Montauk Chair was developed to give the human and spirit a zero point of reference to facilitate time travel. What that chair essentially does is separate the mind from the body. The chair operator's thoughts and vibrational energy is picking up by an umbrella looking antennas above the chair, sent to the computer, over to a processor, then amplified several hundred times, and even large enough for a truck to go through. Several hundred times. The information is sent to a network of free energy crystals arranged in a circle. Then whatever thoughts are amplified at that time, a wormhole would open in the room. A wormhole as large as 16 to 18 feet across, and even large enough for a truck to go through. In Camp Hero, Montauk, the location of the crosshairs of the Earth's biorhythms, and is the point on Earth where time travel is most easily accomplished when Earth is at its point of origin. My part of the Montauk Chair project was to use my focused visualization skills to think of specific time points in history that were assigned to me. The chair is connected to a sophisticated computer system and thought amplifier such that when the thought of time period is visualized, the computer simulates a time portal based on that point of time. A series of time portals are done until a library of time periods and portals have accumulated. The chair was used to amplify extremely focused thoughts and create three-dimensional materializations based on the operator's thoughts. Preston Nichols wrote several books on the Montauk Project and describes the incident in which Duncan Cameron created a monster while using the Montauk Chair. So when Duncan Cameron was placed in this Montauk Chair and he had a lot of rage and just hatred. You're a young kid and you are put into these testing areas where you are trying to help the U.S. government create things that, not even create, use technology that at the time, back in 1943, we weren't meant to have. So this child is sitting there and this creature comes out of a portal. The creature is very similar to what we call crawlers. It was very skinny, very long, and full of hatred and rage. Did he create it? Maybe not. Maybe it came from a portal. he was capable of opening portals. Duncan Cameron supposedly time traveled from 43 to 1983 in Montauk, vanished, the ship as well, I think it was the Eldridge. All it was a portal opening. And I have, for the longest time, said that I believe these crawlers, these creatures, were created by this alien agenda in Dulce, New Mexico, as kind of a guardian or protector. Not guardian of good, but, you see this 8-9 foot lanky gangly creature with claws and just void of feeling in its non-existent black hole of an eyes. That's just amazingly strong. So that's what came out of this young man's portal as he's sitting in this facility. He's in a facility, a government facility, and this fucking monster comes out that we call a crawler nowadays. Is it connected? I think really so. That's why the government wants to keep a lid on these giant creatures that are being spotted all over the world nowadays. Dogmen, crawlers. It's real strange that when people report crawlers or dogmen or anything, the government comes in quick and shuts it down. I don't have any other explanation. I have theories on it, and I believe that the Illuminati are a huge part of it. Right here is a very, very terrifying piece. Have you ever encountered extraterrestrials or seen alien or had memories of underground bases? From what I understand, the Department of the Navy made an agreement with the alien Greys in exchange for technologies for human women and children to conduct horrific breeding experiments. This is what is going on right now in underground bases not far from Miami, Florida. One of the most disturbing memories is being escorted down a hallway in this underground lab and seeing cages of chicken wire fencing with women and children screaming for help. I've seen Greys, the 4-foot tall ones with black eyes, and also the 7-foot tall reptilians in some of my experiences. I've been told that I have many children from an alien breeding program. I have had abductions with Greys also. On one occasion, I was introduced to a reptilian while in an underground base sometime in 1989 through 90. I first saw a 7-foot tall, Aryan-looking man. He walks toward me, and I notice that his image phases out as if something interfered with an energy field. He does something to a device on his belt and tells me, "Okay, I'll show you." He then pushes a button, and I see his image change into a 7-foot tall, lizard-like creature who looked like he weighed over 400 pounds. I was introduced to a group of beings that claimed to be a subgroup of the Illuminati. They were made up of a group of 40 to 50 men, all 6'2" or taller, white, and of indeterminate older age, averaging to be 70, but I suspect much older considering the technology they have access to. They convened in a boardroom that I believe was an underground base, perhaps Camp Hero Montauk. They sat around this large football-shaped table made of wood. Each high-backed chair had a light at the tip, and each sitting had a TV, each sitting had a TV screen and control panel that came out from the table. There was a huge screen located in the front of the room as well. I have reason to believe that not all of the Illuminati are human, but in actuality are alien beings that appear to look to be human. Who or what groups do you think are running the show here in the US, or heck, even on Earth? It is very complicated, but basically there are four main versions of or groups of the New World Order, all with slightly varying agendas. The first group comprises of the United States and Western Europe, England, Germany, France, and the US. The second group is Eastern Europe fused with Western Europe and the US. The third group of countries, the Orient. The fourth, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, elements, and the oil money. So that's the NWO, the one government that is controlling all of this. And all of this ties into what is in this book, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. You have Jonathan Axelrod and two other naval intelligence officers told to look into the Nimitz Tic Tac. Two videos are in existence. One released to the public, one was not. After their investigation, per the Department of the Navy, they are then brought to Skinwalker Ranch. A little strange, but why were they brought there? Well, because there's a deep underground military base under Skinwalker Ranch. 100%. Think about the power and the paranoia or paranormal activity surrounding it. It only makes sense to have such power there. They are doing experiments that they shouldn't be doing with these alien race, 1% human, whatever. But you have this place called Skinwalker Ranch, where ironically enough, I think what happened was this deep underground military base was built, and to keep it quiet, was sold to public farmers and public ranchers back in the day. They weren't supposed to find out. Government lost control of things. Animal mutilation started happening, and yada yada. But there's just too much power going on there. Too much power. So Axelrod and his buddies go looking into the Tic Tac. All of a sudden, after everything's said and done, before anybody was talking about Dogman on YouTube, before anything, this isn't now. This is, the book just came out, but the experiences aren't right from 2009. His wife and kids see Dogman. His wife is tormented by shadow men in Virginia, in a rural, like a beautiful upscale neighborhood. His counterparts, families are tortured with orbs and sicknesses, all to keep it quiet. But yet you're the ones that sent Axelrod and his co-workers to investigate. It's all connected. It is all connected. Jonathan Axelrod and his family are the poster children for the eruption of anomalies in their home following trips to Skinwalker Ranch. For more than a dozen years following his 2009 and subsequent trips to the ranch, Axelrod's wife and then teenage children were subjected to nightmarish dogmen appearing in their backyard, blue, red, yellow, and white orbs routinely floating through their home and in their yard, to black shadow men standing over their beds when they are awoken, and to a relentless barrage of loud, unexplained footsteps walking up and down the stairs of their home. What was once a normal middle-class home in suburban Virginia became an inferno of the bizarre and unexplained. And Axelrod and his family were certain that the trigger for the transformation was his first trip to Skinwalker Ranch. So then, beginning in the summer of 2009, the team comprised of 6 investigators, 3 scientists, and 2 technicians. By March of 2010, approximately 30 residents who had reported first-hand encounters were interviewed in their homes. The group comprised of lifelong residents of the area, all living within 1 to 2 mile radius of the Skinwalker Ranch. They included 4 police officers, 11 Ute tribesmen, including a shaman, 12 ranchers, 6 business owners, the director of the local fish and wildlife. Half were members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. 11 of those individuals recounted first-hand encounters with a dog or wolf-like creature that could run at the speed on 2 legs, sometimes in conjunction with orb-like activity. Its height somewhere between 7.5 to 8 feet. All living within a mile and a half, or 2 miles of Skinwalker Ranch. You want to tell me that there's not a deep underground military base there underneath it? I honestly, you would have to, we would have to, for me not to believe that, I would have to dig a hole a mile deep in the whole, on that whole ranch, because I do believe there is one there, 100%. It actually, if you look at a map of deep underground military bases, there is something detailed on these maps in a book that Pup 7 Becca got me, written by Commander X, who is William Cooper. There's a map in one of his books that is surprisingly detailed on the dumps of the United States. That map is on the internet right now. Just Google map of dumps in America and it'll pop up in the images. But anyway, guys, once again, this is theory. A lot of it was theory of someone else, but I believe, even though it's theory, I believe there's a hell of a lot of truth to that theory. Tom Horn, an expert of all of this stuff that I'm just sharing with you, and he just passed away. I'm surprised he wasn't taken out sooner. I'd say he passed of natural causes, but for the amount of information he shared, Steve Quayle, people that have too much information are silenced really quick. And I believe they let Horn exist just because, it's almost like letting David Icke live. Just because people think he's crazy. We can either wipe him out and people ask why he got wiped out, or let's just label him crazy. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that keeps this channel growing and going, and what gives all of us a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Thank you. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with with the people that you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Till next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.